What's up, YouTube? So I'm a really bad YouTuber. I think I uploaded like 4 months ago, so this is a long overdue update. I'm just on my cell phone. I usually film with a GoPro, but it just takes a lot of extra time, so I'm gonna keep this one simple, do it on my phone. It's easier to upload. So still got the car, obviously. Progress is being made, but a lot of things have happened over the last few months. Got a new job, lots of stuff and work going on at the house. I just had contractors here at the house outside yesterday. And a lot of the work that's been going on in the car is getting down there to the end and just making it very meticulous and painful, like working on certain things. So sometimes when I'm just trying to focus and in the zone on what's going on with the car, I just don't take the time to film. So that's really on me. But those that have stuck around, thanks for sticking around. We're super close in the car. I want to walk through a few things on where we are with the car currently and basically what's outstanding. So fortunately, what's outstanding is a lot less than what it used to be. So let's get started. I'll show you where the car's at right now. Cool. So with the last upload, I'm pretty sure none of the car was on the ground. So we got the tires mounted and the rear's on. The fronts are back there in the back, pretty much ready to go on. Got the headlights ready to go in once I finish up stuff in the front. So kind of got some stuff here, and there's a mower going on outside. So I'm gonna actually keep the garage door shut for now, but whole front of the car is basically together, turbo kit's on. Encountered a few challenges and problems actually trying to get this mounted just right. And you'll notice I'm actually running the Momentum intercooler versus the Treadstone unit that I was planning to run. So one of the problems I encountered here is just, it's a different mounting style. So the holes here for mounting are one over the top, one above, one below, and the Momentum's different. So I would have needed to do brackets and all kinds of different things. And honestly, I just think I got impatient and was just like, didn't want to deal with making custom cold side piping after I already had this powder coated, and things just weren't lining up with the Treadstone. And with the power goals of the car, I definitely think that the Momentum one's going to work just fine. So let's see if I can just see over here. So got the oil cooler mounted there. Pretty much everything's ready to go. And the big thing to talk about is, does the car run? And yes, it runs. It started. I've got some old footage on a GoPro. The day I went to start it, it started, but then basically immediately died. And I chased that problem literally for hours. And so while I was trying to film, had the GoPro set up, was trying to capture everything. And it just ended up being this arduous, long, drawn out thing. And I was like, I never could capture it. It would start, it would idle for about 2-3 seconds and then die. I discovered I had a fuel leak around the top hat and the return line on the fuel pump assembly. I actually fixed that. I wonder if I have, yeah, so check these little guys out. So these are little flange gaskets. These are aluminum. And I was chasing this little problem where that return line bolted right up to that bulkhead fitting for the fuel line. So I think it either got damaged or I just couldn't, or maybe I over tightened it. Something happened there. And CJ Motorsports was super helpful. They actually turned me on to those little gaskets to fix that leak, and it worked like a charm. So I got that problem solved. I got a different fuel line from the fuel pressure regulator to the back of the fuel rail. I got that installed, cleaned up a few things there, and then it started to, I got it and it seemed like it wanted to idle a little bit better, but my suspicion is that it's rich. So you can definitely smell it, and it has a little trouble getting started. But once it starts and you keep a little throttle in it, it will idle, and it's okay. Sounds pretty good. It's got the Grady exhaust on there. The whole back end of the car, of course, is back together. Axles are in, everything's in, and we are super, super close to actually getting this thing on the road and starting to do some break-in mileage. So let's talk about what's left, and I'll show you where I'm at on what's left. Cool, so just let's see if this door's open. I don't even remember if I left it open. Yep, okay, cool. So as you can see, dash is out, so it's time for gauges. It's basically the only thing left, honestly. The whole back of the car is back together, fuel pump assembly's back, sound system's back installed. While that's out, I decided to do some updates with the audio system. So I've got a new Pioneer unit, so we'll have Apple CarPlay. Did the harness service, so that's pretty much ready to go. Got a couple of cameras. I'm not sure if I'll tackle this right now just because I'm really eager to get the car on the road, but I do need to consider doing this. I have a buddy that did it, a rear camera and a forward-facing camera. I think would be really cool. So I want to do that, but the radio is going to go in. For gauges, this is where we currently are, and this has turned out great. I want to talk about how I've done this thus far, and just a reminder, of what gauges I went with. So I went with the Innovate multifunction gauges, and I really was eager. I considered the A-pillar triple pod setup, but I kind of just didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Not really different, but takes a little bit more work, let's say. So I wanted to go with the OEM pod mount location, and I swapped to the silver bezels, so it looks very OEM. And I used, you could probably see them here. These are Alliance Racing 52 millimeter, pretty sure it's 52 millimeter, gauge pod mounts. And these things are slick. So I had to do a little bit of work to get these. These aren't permanently mounted, the tops yet, but I wanted to kind of show you, I've actually got one out behind me, I'll show you that in a second, on how these work. So you got these 3D printed gauge pod holders, and it comes with washers, and it basically just holds these right up. And what I've noticed is if you give it just about that amount of gap, which I haven't measured it, but I guess that's maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. And then you take the factory gauge pod hoods, I guess you'd call them, the covers, it sits really nice. So my plan here, I want to show you, let's go over here. And oh, by the way, I replaced my old John Deere. Bought a Skag from a buddy, a little 36-inch deck, 0 turn, great setup. So had to replace the old trusty one, but I put a little coat of paint on these guys just to clean them up a little bit. But this is basically what you need to trim off if you're going to use these things. Now, on the videos I've seen online from different places, a lot of people are hacking these up a lot more than I think is necessary. So what you effectively have to do is you pop the little silver bezels out. This one's painted black because I painted it in there once before. But you pop these guys out and you trim. I wanted to keep these 2 small tabs as glue points. So you'll obviously, this one's broken, so I'm gonna have to fix the back tab. But you'll glue on the back tab and you'll glue on those 2 small tabs. So I'm gonna flip this over and kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So if I pop the center one out, see if I can do this with one hand. It kind of just fits right over the top, and you can see what I'm talking about. So my goal is to do, or plan, is to put a little dab of super glue on those 2 tabs and then on the back, and we will just work to get this put right down into place. And you see where that tab will go there, this tab will go there, and then we'll glue up top, and God willing, will look just like that, which actually should look pretty good sitting in the car. So that's where we are with the gauges. Also, these gauges have these in-out ports on the back, you can see here. And the good part is if you do multiple gauges, you'll notice that you get a serial connection. Pretty sure that's right. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. You get a serial connection cable for each gauge. But what I didn't want to do was run 3 different cables to connect to a computer and program these gauges and make adjustments as I want. So you actually have to get these Innovate cable patches. Looks like it's 38.46 for each. Unfortunately, they only come in 4 foot. I actually got these off of Amazon. And you can connect these to the in-outs, and then that way you only have to run 1 cable. You use their software, and then you can program all 3. So that's something that's pretty neat. So I'm sorting through exactly how I want to wire all this. And that's the biggest thing, is the wiring situation, getting these to run the way I want. So I'm also going to run, let's see if it's hiding somewhere over here. I put as you can imagine, this is just a complete mess. I've got a relay somewhere. So anyway, I'm going to run a relay, and I'm going to run it to a fuse distribution block. And I'm going to mount this in the footwell on the passenger side. So I found a point in the fuse block where in the engine bay, and I used one of these fuse tap deals here. So when it kicks power over to the relay kicks on, I get a direct battery current to this fuse block, and this will feed my 3 gauges here, and the plan is to run my boost controller off of this one. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Definitely the 3 gauges. I think I'll be able to do it with the boost controller as well. And additionally, the air fuel ratio and boost gauge on here, I think it's the PSB1, Power Safe Boost 1. Yep, so this comes with an additional relay that is actually pretty cool. And what that'll do is you can pre-program it, and you basically splice that relay in to your boost controller. And in the event that you program this, be it air fuel ratio or boost or whatever it is, and say, hey, if it spikes over, let's say my tune is 10 PSI, 11 PSI, 12, whatever we end up landing at, I can pre-program that and say, hey, if I for some reason get a boost spike and it spikes up to, 13, 14, 15, I can set a parameter that'll kick that power safe relay over, and it'll intercept, if you will, or interrupt my boost controller and take me down to wastegate. So I had to read through a lot of material that came with it to understand exactly how I'm going to wire this. So I also have to figure out, where am I going to put the power safe relay? Where do I want to wire that in? And how do I wire it into my HKS boost controller? So that's going to be something I have to work through too. Oh, and here's the relay. I just found it. So this is just a little relay I got also off of Amazon. This will basically just take I don't know if I can remember all the, obviously ground, black. I think signal is blue off of the fuse block I was talking about. Can't remember all the details, but anyway, it's not super complicated. But that'll kick over, feed the fuse block, and then we'll have consistent good power for the gauges. The only other thing is, I think it's the white wire. So you can see on all these, this is the end of the oil, pressure, oil temperature gauge. So we'll have the 2 sensor inputs here. You have E, power and ground, red and black. And the white is off the headlight. So the cool part about that is, trying to get that OEM plus type look is when you kick the, want to do it off the daytime running lights. So when I kick that, the gauges will actually dim and it won't blind you when you're driving at night. So I got to source that wire too. So once all that's done and I can actually monitor my air fuel ratios, I want to check where it's at idle so I can make updates to the mail-in flash tune, the break-in tune through Z1, and then we can actually put some miles on it. So I've got to do 100 miles 3 different times with oil changes in between. So anyway, that is where we are. The car is still here. It's been sitting. It's been slow here at the end, but all those little small nitnoy details, they will get you. So when you're doing this, take your time. I've taken my time, obviously probably more time than I should have, but I've been visiting family. I've gotten a new job, and the car has just been kind of sitting, and it gets attention when I can get to it. But for all intents and purposes, we are pretty close to the end. Everything on idle sounded good. I had one small coolant leak, tightened some clamps down, that fixed that. Again, the fuel leak I fixed with the gaskets I showed you earlier. And there hasn't really been anything else. I haven't seen any oil leaks, fingers crossed. There is one spot on the oil pressure line for the turbo I think that I might want to reseal. It seems like it's seeped just a little bit, not even a drip. You can just see the residual around that. But when you're driving the car and you're getting oil pressure, I suspect that might be an area that might leak. So I think that's mostly it. It's definitely a quick down and dirty. Actually, I'll get under here and I'll show you the exhaust and kind of what it looks like in the diffuser. Let's see if we can get in here and check this out. So it ends up looking pretty cool. I did have to notch the diffuser back there. You can see that. But it actually tucked up in there pretty good. And I got the super long tip that came with it. And it's still tucked under the Voltex trim piece here a little bit. But I think it's going to turn out great. I think it's going to look really cool. From what I can tell at idle, it's going to sound really good. I wanted something a little bit quieter. And I think turbo 350s or 370s, I'm pretty much as far as I can tell, usually a little quieter than NA, depending on how you have it set up. But definitely sounds a little bit different when I give it a little bit of revs, not too much. I think it's gonna sound really, really good. So I'm excited to get there. And again, thank you guys for sticking around with the channel. Again, I'm not uploading often. I will try to be better about giving small updates, even if it just takes me a few minutes to film and get it up, to give you guys updates. So that's pretty much it. So that's everything. I'll actually be home this weekend. I've been gone the last 2 weekends, and I'll be tackling some of this wiring. So as you saw, the gauges and routing all that wiring inside of the car is a pretty unique challenge, but not impossible. It just takes a little bit of time. And trying to source where are you going to route everything. I think for me, most of it will be routed through the passenger side firewall, the main harness. Everybody's pretty familiar with that space. On this side, I actually took the fender liner out to try to find a space potentially for all of the stuff that's going to potentially route here. So this is my wideband connection here that I would like to run basically under this pipe and then through here if I can, to make it nice and clean. And then if I can get my boost controller solenoid in here, I want to figure out how I can route it and get it into the cab. And I think there was one spot, let's see if I can show it to you. where is it? It's actually right there. You see that like cloth looking circle? I think that goes right into the back side of the carpet inside the driver's side footwell. So that might be a way to go for the boost controller. Not too sure yet. Okay, I think that's it. Just finished up working for the day. I wanted to come down here and give you guys a quick update because it's just really time, and I hate to just not tell people how things are going. Things are going well. Work is busy. Car is close. I know it's kind of getting towards good boost weather, so I'd really love to get the car in there and get it tuned. Anything else? I don't think so. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I'm going to continue to upload content. Of course, once the car is running and I'm out doing more events, I'll have more stuff. But of course, I've done a lot and I didn't really film any how-tos. So if you're in the middle of a build and you go back and look at some of my old videos, I'm pretty sure, cataloged every single part that I ordered for this kit. Maybe not every single tiny thing, but I'm pretty sure I got most. So if you are doing a Turbo Z build and you're wondering where to get things or how to get them, I got a lot of stuff from a lot of different places, a lot from Z1, a lot from FNG Performance. I got those, gauge pod things from Alliance Racing. It's small stuff like that you learn going through a process that could really help other people. So if I could help you and you're in the middle of something, let me know. I'll be happy to maybe film a small video on exactly how I did it and why I did it, etc. So thanks everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you guys have a good week and we'll see you soon.